Welcome back to some more Umineko when they cry. So where we last left off, all of the such, you know, Shannon, one of the servants, were assigned to night patrol, and she saw this sparkling butterfly which it looks pretty cool, the effects and the such. And then time shifted to day two of episode one, and five of the characters went missing. So it was Rudolph, Kyrie, Rosa, Kraus, and one of the servants who goes by Golda. So it was five. You know, bit of a mysterious sort of such. I think. Let me see here. Let me just scroll up so I can make sure. There we go. I have to make sure that the audio. Sometimes the music sound effect will be a little bit muted or very dim. I swear, like, do I? It's odd because like I look at the part and then I'll be like, yeah, I'll just do this. Am I on the right part? Yeah, I'm on the right part. So this is where Natsugi went up to where she's going to the study door just to check out the find the missing characters. And Genji gave her the key that to unlock the most secure door where Kinzo would be in. So let's see here. Once more, there was a knocking sound on the study door, but there was no answer. He seemed to be sleeping still, and I could not wake him. If she went back downstairs and said something like that, Eva would probably be amused and triumphant. And even putting Eva aside, it was problematic that Kinzo had stayed shut away during this entire once a year conference, not even coming down to greet anyone. Why isn't there like voice audio, dude? I thought there was something in the dialogue. I mean, it's so weird. Like there's, I guess, the a little bit of a quotation marks is where it's part of me. We have to read it. I mean, his voice is, yeah, the voices is on, and the stuff is on there. So that really don't make sense. I guess whatever. It was problematic that. Okay, let me repeat this again. And even putting Eva aside, it was problematic that Kinzo had stayed shut away during this entire once a year conference, not even coming down to greet anyone. Well, good old Kinzo, he's too busy with his crazy ass witchcraft. Even the family head, no, especially the family head, couldn't fail to make an appearance. I wonder if I can convince him myself. Natsuki readied herself and used the key that she'd borrowed from Genji to open the door. Oh shit, son, we're going in. Even though she was prepared for the sweet stench, which seemed to eat into one's brain as it poured out the small crack in the door, she couldn't help but grimace. Thinking that he might still be asleep, Natsuki entered the room quietly. I wonder, does it really show anything on the effect the characters? Like, okay, it doesn't really show. Like, like Rosa. Okay, making sure. It just still hasn't really updated because they went missing. So, thinking that he might still be sleeping, Natsuki entered the room quietly. When she did, Kinzo was already awake and looking down out of the window.
お目覚めでしたか。
I wonder how Kinzo's gonna react.
おはようございます。
Is he gonna tell her to get the fuck out or what?
どうやって入ったのか。
Good question. Kinzo spoke with his back still facing her. His voice was not harsh, but calm, and Natsuki was slightly reassured. However, though he was awake, he couldn't have ignored all that knocking if he was in a good mood. Natsuki wasn't able to relax.
申し訳ございませんでした。
She wasn't able to relax. Oh boy.
源氏さんにお願いして、書斎の鍵をお借りさせていただきました。
ほう。 源氏がか？我が友がそれに足ると思ったならば、話を聞かぬわけにもいくまい。
Yeah, it's not like I fucking teleported here for a reason.
して、私に何用か？
はい。もうじき朝食の準備が整いますが、ぜひお父様にもおいでいただきたく思いまして。
I don't think breakfast will be done anytime soon by the time that shit's. Oh my god.
朝食はここでとる。
Oh, it's like, no, fuck that. I ain't coming down.
いつものように運ばせるがいい。
しかしお父様、年に一度の親族会議です。せめてお顔をお見せになってください。
下に降りて、私の死後、遺産をどのように食いちぎるのかを決める議論に加われというのか。バカらしい。そのような話は私を抜きで好きに進めるがいい。そしてそれが親族会議だというなら、私がこの部屋を出るほどの価値はない。私は忙しいのだ。構うでない。
His last words carried the threat that any further questions would not be appreciated. Natsuki realized that adding any further pleas would finally bring his wrath down upon her. She didn't look forward to facing Eva's sarcasm, but there was nothing more Natsuki could do.
そうですか。わかりました。みんな残念がるでしょうが、そう伝えます。
Natsuki decided to give up. Bowing silently, she tried to leave the room before Kinzo's spasmodic temper could flare up. As she did, Kinzo spoke to her. His voice was so calm and gentle, it felt like it came from an entirely different person.
Natsuhi. 後ろ宮の家に嫁ぎ、もう随分になるな。
Well, that's strange.
はい。後宮を名乗ることを許されてから、もう随分になります。
前の家が恋しくなることもあるか？
いいえ。嫁ぐとは、成果を捨てることです。私は後宮夏日。帰る家も懐かしむ家も、すべてはこの後宮の家のみです。
Is it really abandoning your own birth family? I mean, then again, I don't know much about how marriage works, so... She truly wasn't exaggerating. Such was the resolve she felt whenever she applied the Ushiromiya family name to herself. And that's precisely why she was so saddened when her husband didn't treat her like an Ushiromiya, leaving her to race about in vain. Yeah, Kraus is a piece of shit.
クラウスが女で、お前がその夫であったなら。いや、それは言うまい。
God. Oh shit. I would love to see the perspectives on that one.
それは、どういう意味ですか、お父様。
Yeah, what do you mean? Natsuki was shocked. If Kinzo's words just now were what they seemed, it would have been more than enough to make up for all she'd suffered up to that point.
忘れよ。年寄りのざれ言だ。
It's not only nonsense of an old man, you can be a bit of a crazy old man. I mean, look at the alcohol, like always, the one behind it. Kinzo once again faced away from her. He told her to forget it, but Natsuki couldn't help feeling a warmth in her heart.
お父様、この夏日は血はつながらずともお父様の娘です。後宮家の名誉も栄光も、そしてお父様が残されたものもすべてこの夏日が必ずや守ってみせますから。
お前に片翼のわしをまとう資格はない。しかしお前の心には確かに片翼のわしが刻まれている。ならばお前は間違いなく我が血族で後宮家の栄光を引き継ぐものだ。お前の衣服にわしがないことを嘲笑う者もいよう。しかしそれに耳を貸すことはない。心にわしを持つ者だけが真の私の血族なのだ。お前を後宮家に迎えられたことを今は光栄に思っている。
You know, this isn't really the first that how Kinzo treats a specific character like very differently, like compared to like Kraus, who was a sack of shit, and I guess Natsuki is like, even though she doesn't even have the badge of honor within the Ushiramiya family, which is the one-winged eagle. I said one-eyed eagle. Well, I'm retarded. The one-winged eagle. He said that you may not have the one-winged eagle as the badge, but you have it within your heart. And that's why Kinzo is like treating. I was like, wow. He is being kind to her within words of wisdom right there. It was like, and you notice the other relatives that have the fucking one-winged eagle, and they're kind of like weird as shit. And well, not really Rosa. Rosa is like the most complete normal out of the four. It's just, with Rosa being involved, and she had, I don't know, there was some really stupid YouTube comments where they say like, oh, Rosa is, I think it was both because of when I look back at the part that I uploaded with where Rosa smacked the shit out of Maria, and then I look at the stupid YouTube comments from another video. I think it was like a Panchiko Umineko, whatever you call it. That it's a short video. I saw this really dumb comment. It just, I don't know. Could I consider myself a Umineko casual fan of the sort? I'm trying, man. It's a blind read-through. What do you expect? It's not like anyone would come in and comment regardless. Jesus. Sorry about that. Just drinking my coffee. See, that's what I do whenever I'm doing a read-through. Just drink my coffee or drink my soda, water. And then I feel a bit better. Anyway, without saying anything more, Kinzo remained with his back to Natsuki. However, Natsuki couldn't help but feel something warm well up inside her that she hadn't felt since long ago, when she had been just a child. Natsuki bowed silently to his back and left the room.
あら、ちょうどいいタイミングだったわね。
Oh man, why did you show up?
お父様の様子はどう？
Oh, just, the usual.
あんまり遅いから様子を見に来ちゃったのよ。
Oh boy. When Natsuki left the study, she saw Eva climbing the stairs and their eyes met. Eva was smirking unpleasantly, thinking that Natsuki would leave grudgingly after failing to convince Kinzo. However, the way Natsuki was now, such a frivolous laugh would not disturb her. She was not permitted to wear the family crest on her clothing, but she was permitted to wear it in her heart. So she spoke calmly, dearly, clearly, clearly and confidently, with the dignity of the one who would protect the Ushiromiya family's glory.
お父様は親族会議にはおいでにならないそうです。汚らわしい議題に関心はないと仰せです。
Yeah, Eva, you just told us to fuck off.
とかなんとか言っちゃって。お父様を説得できなかったんなら素直にそう言えばいいじゃない。
But she just did. What? God damn it. Man, why am I taking this seriously? Eva is just trying so hard to troll her.
哀れですね。お父様が嘆かれるお気持ちも分かろうというものです。それはどういう意味よ。
Natsuki did not answer. Just as Kinzo had done earlier, she showed Eva her back as she headed down the stairs. Eva finally realized that she was being made fun of, that something had happened to quickly bolster Natsuki's confidence. Even so, she apparently didn't have the courage to risk Kinzo's wrath. Unable to even knock on the door, she could only click her tongue, make a motion as though scratching at it, and follow after Natsuki.
それで兄さんたちはいたの？お父様に聞いたの？
Oh, I'm pretty sure they're,
聞きそびれましたが、書斎の中にはいませんでした。お父様が夫たちの下船な話のために入室を許すこともありえませんから、行き先を知ることもないでしょう。
I wonder when am I gonna get told that I'm supposed to do some sort of puzzle, even though this is supposedly a kinetic visual novel.
下に降りて使用人たちが探してくれるのを待ちましょう。朝食は遅れますが、お茶でもいかがです？エヴァさん。
Let's have some tea, you know.
別に結構よ。
Eva couldn't hide her confusion at the complete difference in Natsuki's attitude. She was acting so boldly, and while Eva hated to admit it, she even had a sense of dignity about her. Unable to find fault with anything, Eva could only follow Natsuki back to the parlor. When the two of them returned to the parlor, Hideyoshi had been joined by the 4 children and Nanjo. Genji, who had been talking with Hideyoshi, reported the current situation when he noticed that Natsuki had returned.
主人たちはまだ見つからないのですか？
はい、申し訳ございません。
That's unfortunate, as always.
あと、熊沢が朝食の準備に入りました。
Oh, sweet. Good old Kumasawa.
もう少し時間をいただきたいとのことです。
Shouldn't be that long. I'm sure it's fine. The clock read a little past 8. 8 should have been the time to start breakfast. Normally, going over that time limit would be a disgrace to the host.
今、カノンが表を探しています。それから、シャノンの姿も見えません。
Wait, what? I could have sworn it was like 4 and then 1 servant when
シャノンまで？
is that 6?
主人は何を従えて散歩に出かけたのですか？
If it said 5 were missing according to my previous part, why the fuck is it 6 now? Just how many people had gone missing by now? Now that the number was this large, it was starting to feel truly unpleasant, as though the people here were the only ones being left out of something interesting. At least, that seemed to reflect the feelings of the children, and Maria in particular. She was indignant, her stomach grumbling, almost as though her mother and the others had left her alone to go off and eat something delicious without her. The other children were flipping through the channels on the television, trying to find a program that might interest Maria and cheer her up again. Nanja was sitting on the sofa, gazing blissfully at the children while reading a book. It must have been a book about chess. The sound of footsteps came rushing towards them with a pitter-patter. There was only one set, so they realized before seeing who it belonged to that it was probably Kanon, not Kraus and the rest.
奥様、失礼します。
その様子では見つけられなかったようですね。
申し訳ございません。まだ。
もう十分です。ご苦労をかけました。
She didn't know where they were, but they had to be somewhere on this island. They hadn't had a thing to eat since the previous night, so their stomachs must be growling about now. They'd probably come plodding back of their own accord before long. By now, Natsuki was thoroughly exasperated and started to feel that there was no reason for them to go out of their way in search.
私はお客様方にお茶のご用意をしに厨房へ行きます。二人とも早朝からご苦労様でした。
Natsuki left the parlor, acting as though the release in tension had caused a new surge in her headache. Kanon tried to call her back, but Natsuki left swiftly.
どうした？まだ何かあるのか？
You know what?
はい。旦那様方のお姿を見つけることはできませんでしたが、その。
Kanon sounded evasive. It looked as though he didn't know where they were, but had spotted something that might be connected to their disappearance. Eva and Hideyoshi noticed this exchange of words and came over. They'd probably picked up on something strange in Kanon's behavior.
どうしたんや、カノン君。クラウス兄さんたちは見つかったんか？
実はバラ庭園の倉庫の様子がおかしいのです。
Strange?
様子がおかしいというのはどういう意味だ？
Yeah, what do you mean by strange? That's exactly what I was gonna ask.
それが何と説明すればいいのか。
Come on, dude, out with it. Kanon hesitated once more. His tone wasn't at all what you'd expect from this usually fearless boy. Seeing this, Eva and Hideyoshi looked at each other dubiously.
どういうこと？倉庫の中に兄さんたちがいたんじゃないの？
いえ、中はこれから調べます。その鍵を取りに戻ったところなのですが、
ようわからんが、とにかく中を調べればいいだけの話じゃないか。その倉庫の鍵はどこにあるんや？
Oh no, don't get involved in that.
使用人室にあります。
Well, it's not that hard.
すぐに中を確かめましょう。
Yay, we're going on an adventure again. Kanon dashed off to the servant room and returned with the key. Genji left the parlor, saying that he would go check, but then Eva and Hideyoshi followed after him. What was this something strange about the storehouse that had caused the usually fearless Kanon to hesitate? It was still pouring outside, but perhaps their curiosity over this something that Canon couldn't talk won out. I wonder there's going to be some sort of sick feeling in everyone's stomach when they go inside the storehouse. While the children made a big fuss watching television, Canon and the rest dashed over to the entrance. Oh shit, son, let's go. The Rose Garden storehouse was a place that housed various tools used to manage the garden. It was definitely not a pretty building. Because of its appearance, it had been built so that it was hidden in a corner of the Rose Garden. Kanon, Genji, Eva, and Hideyoshi came cutting across the Rose Garden, holding umbrellas. They entered a small path just off the Rose Garden, which was normally off limits for those appreciating the garden and only used by those maintaining it. As they dashed down that, the storehouse came into view in front of them. What? It looks like a garage. The background of it looks like a freaking garage, dude. It was quite an old shed, and compared to the flawlessly perfect beauty of the Rose Garden, it was pretty seedy looking. It was easy to understand why it had been built in a hard-to-see place. Why is it making this sort of noise? Is this something somewhere in the tips or something? Yeah, I don't think so. What the hell? Oh. Hard to see place. Eva and Hideyoshi arrived at the storehouse long after Kanon and Genji.
カノン君たちは早いな。わしは心臓が爆発しそうや。
こんなところに倉庫なんか建ててたのね。
Yeah, I didn't know either.
何よそれ。
What? When Eva looked at where Kanon was pointing, she was at a loss for words. Noticing this, Hideyoshi also followed Kanon's finger and was likewise too shocked to speak. The entrance to the storehouse was a kind of shutter, and there, everyone suddenly realized why Kanon had been unable to find words to describe what they now saw as their blood. On the shutter, which was completely filthy from being exposed to wind and rain for so long, stuck right on it. Oh, I guess it's close enough when it comes to blood. It's a pentagram of the such. There was something that looked like a strange dark red liquid? Mucus? Or maybe it was some sticky paint. And an indescribably eerie shape was drawn on the shutter with some kind of ghastly substance. Red liquid, mucus, sticky paint. I thought it was like blood, and then it's drawn into like some sort of a pentagram of the such. Ghastly substance. The rain had caused it to drip down like fresh blood leaking from an open wound. No more beating around the bush. Some kind of mark was drawn there, with a ghastly substance that looked like blood. In a shape. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. That looks like blood. Looked like blood, in a shape that seemed to suggest something ominous. So, are the characters' sacrifice means that they just offered, and then it's gonna be, and they're just gonna die like, just like that? Oh boy. In a shape that seemed to suggest something ominous. Two circles were drawn there, and inside them was a design that looked like a cross. The four ends of the cross were widely exaggerated, and it looked like some kind of crest from somewhere around Europe. And in the cracks between these shapes, written closely packed together, were some unfamiliar characters or possibly symbols.
なんちゅう悪趣味な落書きや。これ、あれか？悪魔の儀式とかの 魔法陣いうやつとちゃうか？
It wasn't surprising that Hideyoshi would say that about such a ghastly shape, drawn with a deep red dripping substance.
これいつ書かれたの？
I'm gonna assume that it was made last night.
昨日雨が降り出す前にここに来ましたが、その時には何も書かれてませんでした。
Yeah, it's just exactly what I said. It's last night.
他の方々の目に触れる前に何とかしよう。ご覧になられたらご不快になられるだろう。
So we have this reddish mark on the door that Natsuki encountered, and then there is this disturbing pentagram on the storehouse.
そうね。ただの倉庫小屋とはいえ、こんな気持ち悪い落書きを1秒たりとも放置したくないわ。
倉庫の中に塗料もあります。応急処置でとりあえず塗り消して後日天気のいい日に改めて塗装しましょう。
No words. I don't know if you want to go inside the storehouse though for some paint. Alright, I'll be right back real quick, so hold on. Alrighty, I am back. I had to turn some of the light off and while I get myself some more coffee. So we got some they're gonna plan on to cover the pentagram with by repainting it. Let's continue. Genji remembered that he had just recently seen another scribble, and that it too had been made with a strange dark red substance of the same color as this. Yeah, it's the... Pretty sure I already said this by now. That must have been... That's right. He had seen it on the door to Natsuki's room.
カノン君、さっさとこの落書きを消して戻りましょう。たとえ倉庫とはいえ、実家の落書きは本当に腹立たしいわ。
But you hardly... It's not like you want to go to a storehouse.
はい、すぐに済ませますので。
Kanon squatted in front of the shutter and unlocked it. He then lifted it up with all of his strength. A boisterous noise resounded, and the eerie shape drawn on the shutter began to get sucked in through the top of the shutter. As the shutter was raised. At least for the time being, that ominous drawing disappeared from their direct gaze, and they all breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks to a kids program they came across, Maria was feeling much better. Battler and Jessica were poking fun at the kids show at every turn, cackling together. George was enjoying the program with Maria from her perspective. Nanjo sat on the sofa by himself, passing the time by reading quietly. They heard hurried footsteps coming from the hallway. They were the footsteps of a single person. Did that mean it wasn't the group of four that had just left? It was Genji. It was very rare for Genji, who considered being out of breath a violation of a servant's virtues, to be gasping for air. He had probably come dashing back from outside the mansion. His shoulders were soaking wet, and he didn't have his usual trim appearance. When Genji noticed Nanjo looking at him, he gave a small, silent bow and quickly approached him.
Nanjo sensei, 申し訳ございません。至急お越しください。
何事ですかな？
What's going on? As Genji whispered something into Nanjo's ear, Nanjo went pale. He rose from the sofa, trying not to be noticed by the children who were still engrossed by the TV, and the two of them rapidly left the parlor. muffling their footsteps. Just as they were about to exit the parlor, they came across Natsuki was pushing a serving cart loaded with a tea set. Genji whispered something into Natsuki's ear, and Natsuki went pale too in apparent shock. Then, leaving the serving cart where it was, the three of them dashed towards the entrance. Oh shit. Is there like a disturbing mess going on inside the storehouse that I didn't see yet? George noticed them running down the rose garden through the window.
なんだろう。源氏さんと南條先生とあれは夏日おばさんかな。
Oh, George, you just best stay out of it.
どうしたんだよ、兄貴。
何かあったのかな。ひどい慌てようだったね。
No shit. When Jessica and Maria saw that Eva, Hideyoshi, and Nanja were no longer in their seats, and that the serving cart had been abandoned in the entrance to the parlor, they also realized that something was the matter.
何か事故でもあったとか？
行ってみようぜ。俺たちだけのけ者なんて面白くねえしな。
God damn it, Balor. Don't say that. For some reason, what Balor said sounded extremely indiscreet, but they couldn't deny that they were a little insecure and concerned after seeing the adults run off into the rain without regard to their appearance.
行ってみようぜ。何があったか気になるぜ。
Jessica's uneasy words spoke for all of them.
おい、マリア。お前も来るか？それとも、テレビを見てるか？
おお。マリアはテレビがいい。おお。
Well, good. You just mind your own business and watch TV.
僕たちだけで行こう。マリアちゃん、すぐ戻るからね。テレビを見て待ってるんだよ。
Oh boy. Oh man. Why they got it? Why is this gotta happen? By the time the kids made it outside, the adults were no longer in sight. But Jessica seemed to have a pretty good idea where they'd gone, judging by the direction they'd been running. Following Jessica, we ran through the rain-soaked rose garden. The wind seemed to suddenly get stronger. The malicious sound of thunder began to ring out like it had the previous night. It felt like an eerie something had surrounded the island and was trying to stop us from moving forward. It's telling you this, don't get involved in this shit.
ジェシカ、この先には何があるんだ？
確か園芸道具なんかの倉庫があったはずだぜ。
そんなところに一体何があるんだろうね。
So, if this pentagram was outside the storehouse, and I'm assuming inside the storehouse, meaning that's where all five. Does that mean especially Shannon also got killed, sacrificed and killed too? Oh man. Just as Jessica had said, they began to see a storehouse in front of them. They could also see the adults there. The shutter to the storehouse was open, and several adults looked as though they were searching for something. For some reason, only Natsuki was outside the storehouse, without even holding an umbrella. She looked like she was hanging her head, and her back was facing them. There was Genji, Nanjo, and Natsuki, who had just left the mansion. The ones who left earlier, Kanon, Eva, and Hideyoshi were also there, making for a small crowd of people, but there was absolutely no bustle of activity. When Natsuki realized that the children were approaching, a terrible expression rose to her face. and she ran at them with her arms spread wide.
来てはいけません。お屋敷へ戻っていなさい。
However, no, because of that, the kids saw the scene Natsuki was trying to keep them away from. Inside the storehouse with its shutter wide open, a faint fluorescent light shone down, and right there was oh shit, son. Jessica's piercing shriek rang out. But that was just because Jessica's scream was the loudest. The same thing spilled out of Battler and George's mouths as well. Eva spread her arms just like Natsuki, roaring at the kids with a bone-chilling expression on her face.
ジョージ、みんなを連れて屋敷に帰ってください。早く。今すぐに。
When Natsuki spread her arms, I thought she was trying to prevent us from advancing any further. But that's what they're doing. But that wasn't why Eva was spreading her arms right now. She was trying to stop us kids from seeing that terrible scene. It was her mother's heart, trying to protect the eyes and hearts of us children by blocking our view of that terrible scene by at least the width of one of her arms.
何の冗談だってんだよ。こりゃあよ。
It ain't no prank. I'd seen this kind of cheap scene all too often. In manga, TV, anime, and movies, I'd seen it over and over again. This was just seeing something appear in real life that I'd seen plenty of times before in some of those more sensational movies, right? That alone shouldn't... but that suit... It's that old bastard, isn't it? I get it. Then that's Uncle Kraus, and Kairi-san, and Aunt Rosa. Yeah!
ダメよジェシカ。入ってはダメ。見てはダメ。
Kraus? The sack of shit Kraus is already dead. Why are you calling out to him?
お父さん、お父さん。
It's too late now.
死後硬直をほぼ全身に認められる。多分死後6時間以上は経過しとるだろう。損壊部位の状況を見る限り死後に破壊された可能性が高い。いや、めったなことは言えん。
Well, Nanjo, you are the doctor, so...
私は町医者だ。検視は専門外だ。
Oh, man. This track, however, is a banger, though.
ちゅうことは何や。殺しただけじゃ飽き足らず、さらにこんな無体なことをしたん言うんか。悪魔や、悪魔の所業や。
Aunt Natsuki caught Jessica in her arms, and Aunt Eva caught George Aniki. So I was the only one who could approach the entrance to the storehouse. If only there had been someone there to catch me too. I wouldn't have needed to have this horrible, evil scene burned into my eyes. No, that's not it. It isn't that there's no one here to catch me. The people who should catch me, they're right there, aren't they? Just as Jessica said, it did look like a storehouse for gardening tools. A lawnmower with extra blades, a grass sickle and a hammer, some carpentry tools such as a saw, piled up potted plants and bags of fertilizer. And treated just the same, the corpses of several people had been laid to rest there. No, had been tossed in there. I could tell them by their clothes. That old bastard and Kairi-san, old bastard aka Rudolph, Uncle Kraus, and Aunt Rosa. Beyond that, Golda-san and... Are there still more of them? How many people died? You're fucking kidding me! I can't even count them on one hand! Damn it! I didn't know whether it had been one of these gardening tools, which if used for something other than their intended purpose, could definitely be wielded with a naked brutality, or whether some horrible tool had been brought in here specifically for this. Anyway, each one of the bodies jammed in here had been given an atrocious makeup. It wasn't makeup, it was more like their faces had been plowed. Their faces were smashed, forced into expressions that normal people couldn't make even after death. I couldn't tell where the eyes or the noses were, but I could find their mouths, because they were gaping wide, their gums exposed. But their front teeth were missing, and even the cheeks that should have covered all. This were all torn up and laid bare. That trendy makeup you always spent so much time on, even though you're a man, isn't doing a thing now.
Oyaji! てめえは絶対地獄行きだとは思ってたぜ。でもよ、ここまでじゃねえだろ。ここまでひでえ目に遭わされるほどの悪党じゃなかっただろうがよ。
Well, I mean, judging from what you said, Balor, you sure hate your dad so much.
だからキリエさんもさ、こんな男と付き合うのはやめろって言ったんだ。あんたまでそこまでの目に遭わされる理由は何もねえじゃねえかよ。顔がねえ、顔がねえよ。クソクソクソクソ、
I don't want to break the mood, but I'm pretty sure I saw this old art of the old art of Battler, where the crying is kind of a meme. So there's that.
バトラさん、これ以上見てはいかん。
Yeah, Nanja would have caught you and escorted you out of the damn storehouse by now.
こんな姿をお父さんもお母さんもあんたに見せたいわけがない。お父さんとお母さんのためにもこれ以上見てはいかん。
Now listen to what Nanja says and get the hell out.
死者ってのは安らかに眠る顔ってやつを拝ませてくれるんじゃねえのかよ。顔がねえんだよ。俺の親父とキリエさんの顔がねえんだよ。どういう顔して死んじまったのか、それすらもわかんねえんだよ。なんだよ俺は。親父たちのことを思い出すときはこのぐちゃぐちゃの化け物みてえな顔をいつも思い出せたのかよ。そいつは最高だぜ。クソ親父のニヤニヤとした顔を思い出さなくていいんだからよ。最高だぜ最高だぜ。でもよ、キリエさんの顔くらいはいいだろ。キリエさんは悪党じゃねえ。たまにはムカつくと思ったけどよ、ちょいとかっこいい俺の姉気分だったお人じゃねえかよ。 こりゃねえよ。こんなのってねえよ。
I'm pretty sure Kyrie didn't even do anything wrong. Oh, she just gets wrapped up in Rudolph's bullshit.
クロスおじさんなんかまだマシじゃねえか。顔面じゃなくて側面だぜ。少なくとも顔半分は残ってるじゃねえかよ。
Too much info.
まだマシだぜ、まだマシだぜ。
Jessica filled her ears with the sound of her own screaming, trying to shut out my reckless words.
よすんだ、バタラ君。もうよすんだ。もうよすんだ。兄貴、兄貴。
Disregarding age and appearance, I fell to my knees, clinging to Aniki's waist and sobbing. It was as if I was crying on behalf of everyone there. Representing the feelings of everyone there, I screamed over and over. Holy shit.
お父さん。倒れているのはクラウスおじさん、ルドルフおじさん、キリエおばさんにローザおばさん、ゴーダさんで5人。
Still haven't even found Shannon yet.
いや、6人や。
Oh no, I just had to jinx myself. Fuck.
ここにもう一人おる。
Oh shit. The body Hideyoshi was looking down on now happened to be hidden among the shadows in that mountain range of objects, and a blind spot to George, who stood by the entrance, so George couldn't tell whose body it was. So George cursed himself. He cursed the fact that his worst guesses always turned out to be right.
じゃあお父さんの足元に倒れているのはシャノンなんだね。
Oh, god damn it. That's like that's 33% of the characters killed off. And
ああ、シャノンちゃんや。
George is just fucking devastated. George fell completely silent. He shook slightly, his lower lip trembling. Normally, he would have wanted to run to his beloved's body, screaming and crying. However, before rashly rushing forward, he worked to keep his composure and asked his father,
シャノンもクラウスおじさんたちと同じなのかな。
No words. He just doesn't want to say anything. Hideyoshi deeply understood the meaning of those words, so he couldn't give George an immediate answer. Or rather, he felt that silence was the only sincere and loving response he could give George right now. When George asked if Shannon was the same, he meant to ask whether her corpse was in the same condition as the others or not. Since Hideyoshi hadn't denied it, it meant her corpse was in the same brutal state.
シャノンを見てもいいかな。
いや、あかん。
どうして？だって、もう二度とシャノンの顔を見られないんだよ。その、最後の顔。どうして見たらいけないんだよ。
お前が最後にシャノンちゃんに会ったのは昨日か。
うん。
そうか。そのシャノンちゃんは別れ際にお前にどんな顔を見せたんや。
No words. He's just so devastated from this shit.
素敵な笑顔だったよ。
After he handed her the ring, she hesitated, even though she must have already made up her mind. Then she looked bashful and ran away because she was embarrassed to let him see her face looking like that. That's the expression that was revived in George's mind.
そうか。ならシャノンちゃんもその笑顔をお前に残したいと願うはずや。
Hideyoshi looked down upon Shannon's body lying at his feet. Just like the other bodies, it was in such a horrible state that it didn't make anyone want to cover their eyes. Her head had been smashed in from the side, and no more than half of her expression remained. If the remaining blood-soaked half of her expression had been wiped clean, would that graceful smile of hers have peeked out? But only half of it. Without thinking, Hideyoshi slapped his hands over his eyes. How brutal. If her face was going to be crushed anyway, then if only all of it had been crushed, he might have been able to temporarily distract George from his pain by making the pathetic suggestion that it was someone else wearing Shannon's clothes. But half of her face had been left untouched. It caused the body so much humiliation, while still proving beyond doubt that the body was Shannon's and no one else's. How inhuman, how brutish. And there, trying his best to burn the image of the remaining half of Shannon's expression into his eyes as she lay at Hideyoshi's feet, was Kanon. Kanon was not crying. Tears had risen to his eyes, but they did not drip down. But that didn't mean he wasn't feeling as much sadness as everyone else. Losing Shannon, who had lived with him in the same orphanage, whom he had loved as his sister, must have been just the same as losing a blood relative.
ジョージ、シャノンちゃんはきっとありがとう言ってるぞ。お前に恥ずかしいところを見られとうなかったんや。きっとお前が耐えてくれたこと感謝しとるで。
わかってる。わかってるよ、父さん。わかってるよ。
George leaned against the outside wall of the storehouse, crouching down limply.
父さん、頼みがあるんだ。
なんや。
僕の代わりに見てほしいんだ。シャノンは指に指輪をつけてるかな？
指輪？ちょいと見てみる。
Hideyoshi crouched down. As he did, Kanon silently pointed to one of Shannon's hands.
ああ、あるで。こりゃダイヤの指輪や。クズダイヤとちゃう。
なかなかの値打ちもんや。
Oh no.
それはどっちの手のどの指にあるのかな。
と、左手の薬指や。そっか、シャノンちゃん、婚約しとったんか。
ジョージ、あなた、まさか。
エヴァ、今はそんなん関係ないで。シャノンちゃんは男に将来を約束されとったんや。一生を幸せにしちゃると男に言わせたんや。それが誰かは問題とちゃうで。男にそこまで言わしめて女の本懐やないか。いつこの指輪をもらったんかは知らん。誰が渡したかも知らん。だがそれでもシャノンちゃんは指輪をもらえたんや。そしてそれを受け入れ左の薬指に通したんや。指輪を送った男もきっと喜んだんとちゃうか。
To most of the people there, Hideyoshi was simply disturbed by this extraordinary situation and was blurting out strange things. However, someone who knew of George and Shannon's true relationship would understand the full meaning of those words.
そっか。ありがとう、父さん。
So Shannon said yes, but it was too late. And George's dream is already ruined. George stood up. The traces of tears still streaked his face, but his expression had returned to his usual calm tone. Had returned to his usual calm one.
行こう。バトラ君、ジェシカちゃん。これ以上僕たちがここにいると大人の邪魔になる。
そうだな。
Jessica sniffled once, showing her face to her mother, who had been holding her the whole time to let her know she was okay now. When she faced George again, she once again had on her usual expression. Although she still couldn't smile.
バトラー、しっかり。
Battler kept on crouching in front of his parents' bodies.
すまねえな。がっつり泣いたら落ち着いたぜ。親父の野郎、普段はクソクソ言ってるくせに。ちょっと死んじまったくらいでピーピー泣くんじゃねえぜって笑ってやがれ。仕方ねえだろ。親が死んだら泣くように遺伝子すり込まれちまってったからよ。
Battler's face was still bright red from the tears, but he had at least recovered enough to fake a smile, if only a bitter one.
カノン、お前もこれ以上ここにいてはいけません。子供たちを連れてお屋敷に戻っていなさい。
Natsuhi had been standing under the rain this whole time, unable to take a step into the storehouse. Maybe she had her own way of grieving. Grieving different from Battler's. Realizing that she had to take on a role of responsibility now that her husband was dead, She gave Kanon those orders.
はい。奥様。
Kanon rose silently and turned to face me. His face was pure white, almost as though his own heart had died along with Shannon, and there was no life in his expression. On an ordinary day, if he had been told to guide the children through the beautiful rose garden, Kanon might have led the way. But now there was no distinction between Kanon and the children. They were now just kids about the same age, suffering the pain of losing those close to them. After making sure that the children were leaving, Natsuki started giving orders to Genji.
源氏、すぐに警察に連絡しなさい。台風が通り過ぎるまでは来られないでしょうが、どうすればいいか指示を与えてくれるはずです。
わかりました。防災用の無線機がありますので、それで連絡します。
When she heard that, Natsuki remembered. That's right, the phones were out today, weren't they? However, they also had a radio, since they couldn't necessarily rely on phones all the time while living on an isolated island. At any rate, they should start by contacting the police and receiving their instructions. Everything else could wait.
ナチョ先生、もうこの場はどうしようもありませんか。
残念ながら私には何もできませんな。
わかりました。源氏、せめて主人たちの顔を何かで覆ってやることはできませんか。このような姿を晒すことは当人にとっても屈辱的でしょうから。
はい。
Genji picked up several dried up towels from inside the storehouse, when Eva stopped him with a shrill voice.
ちょっとちょっと、お待ちなさいよ。ここは犯行現場なんでしょ。なら変に手を加えちゃダメよ。私たちは混乱してて現場に土足で踏み入っちゃったけど、それはきっと警察の捜査の邪魔になったわよ。
Natsuki glared at Eva, offended. Objectively speaking, Eva was right. Even so, she glared at Eva as though accusing her of refusing to do those tragic corpses, which had been humiliated even after death. The simple kindness of covering their faces. However, Eva had spoken both calmly and correctly. This horrible situation definitely wasn't an accident. It was a crime. Someone had killed them. It was a murder case. So, they needed to be careful to avoid disturbing the site any further.
私もエヴァさんに賛成ですな。
Well, it's not like Eva was wrong, is she?
警察が来るまでここは手つかずにしておくべきです。
奥様、いかがなさいますか。
そうですね。わかりました。ここを閉ざしなさい。それから念のためここに別の施錠をするように。
別の施錠？
Well, why do you want a different lock on it, though?
ええ。ここに来た時、シャッターの鍵は閉じていました。ということは、シャッターの鍵を使い、犯人が施錠したということです。
Oh, right. Someone must have found some way to unlock the damn thing.
確かに道理や。じゃあここを開けた限り犯人の指紋が残ってるんとちゃうんか。
警察に証拠として提出する価値はあるでしょうけど、カノン君が普通に持ってここを開けるのに使用しちゃったわ。多分カノン君の指紋も付着しちゃってるわよ。そしてその鍵はさっき源氏さんに手渡され、源氏さんも素手で受け取ってる。大した証拠にはなりそうにないわね。
それは不用心でした。
Well then.
申し訳ございません。
源氏さん、この倉庫の鍵は他にもあるんか？
いいえ、この一つだけです。
Only this key.
ということは、犯人はその鍵を使用人室から持ち出し、そして律儀に元の場所に戻したちゅうことになるな。
Hideyoshi's theory sounded plausible, but that was actually very strange if you thought about it. Why would they go all the trouble of returning a key they stole? No, if you think about it even more deeply, there are some points that are even more bizarre. When a criminal hides a body, they're usually trying to delay the point at which it'll be found, so they can use that time to escape. The six weren't necessarily killed here, but it was reasonable to assume that they were killed somewhere on this island, carried to this storehouse and hidden to delay the discovery of the crime. And yet the eerie magic circle scribbled on the storehouse shutter had eloquently indicated the location of the hidden corpses. Sure, it didn't explicitly mention the corpses, but 6 people had gone missing. In that situation, someone had made such an obvious piece of graffiti and even returned the key to the shutter, almost as though they wanted the corpses here to be discovered. Anyway, we can't put all our faith in the lock that the culprit has opened once before.
とにかく一度は犯人が開け閉めをした施錠だけでは信用できません。犯人の手からもこの場所を保護する意味で施錠を新たにしたいと言っているのです。
If they were killed somewhere on the island, and their bodies got dragged in to the storehouse, did one of the characters there must be someone out there that isn't like a 19th person included, basically just impersonate someone. They did mention the thing of Beatrice. No way, there's no way. So you would think some witch would fucking disguise someone and did all that fucking bullshit, right?
いい案だと思います。私も賛成です。
Genji fished around inside the storehouse and unsealed a brand new padlock that had been inside the small box.
鍵はどうなさいますか？
私が持ちましょう。責任を持って警察に手渡します。
Yeah, but it's a typhoon. What if the police don't come? Like it's probably not going to come like right away. Natsuhi took the key to the padlock from Genji's hand. Okay, well, that was a really long one. I think this is a good time to end it from here. Alright. Stay tuned for the next part. Let's see what happens next after this whole disturbing moment. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Have a good one.